In the shadows of post-war America, a covert operation was unfolding, one that would blur the lines between science and madness. Patients were not patients, they were subjects, and their minds, mere clay for a dangerous experiment. In basements, laboratories, and psychiatric wards across North America, men and women were subjected to procedures that defy logic, their fates hidden in classified files, many still missing today. Welcome to the world of MKULTRA. In 1953, the Central Intelligence Agency, under the directive of Director Allen Dulles, initiated Project MKUltra. Officially, its goal was to explore mind control and interrogation methods. Unofficially, it became a dark chapter in human experimentation. Led by Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, a chemist tasked with finding ways to manipulate the human mind, the project experimented with everything from LSD and mescaline to sensory deprivation and hypnosis. According to declassified documents, some subjects were given hallucinogens without their consent, sometimes in hospital wards, sometimes in motel rooms, their reactions meticulously recorded. The secrecy surrounding these operations ensured that few would speak about them. Many participants were unaware they were being experimented on. In some cases, individuals were left with fractured memories, their identities altered in ways they could never fully articulate. Survivors described vivid hallucinations, sudden personality changes, and blackouts lasting days. Yet, for the CIA, this was merely part of the experiments, a test of control over the human mind, regardless of the cost. North of the border, in Montreal, Dr. Donald Ewen Cameron conducted experiments that were equally chilling. Operating out of the Allen Memorial Institute, Cameron developed a technique known as psychic driving, intended to erase and rebuild the human psyche. Patients were subjected to repeated audio loops for days on end, administered massive doses of LSD, and put through electroconvulsive therapy at extreme levels. Some were kept in drug-induced sleep for weeks. Diaries, letters, and medical records reveal patients waking in confusion, unable to remember their own names, their minds fractured by the very people sworn to heal them. Cameron's methods were meticulous and methodical. Patients often underwent extreme isolation, sometimes in padded rooms, while hypnotic techniques and auditory repetition were used to overwrite memories. The results were devastating. Many emerged as hollow shells of their former selves. Letters from surviving patients describe a disorienting fog, a sense of time collapsing, and an unshakable fear that they had lost their true selves. According to declassified CIA documents, Cameron received funding from the agency, though the patients were never informed. The overlap between government intelligence work and psychiatric practice created an ethical nightmare. Families of the victims often suspected malpractice, but without proof, most cases went unchallenged for years. Only decades later did lawsuits and investigations begin to reveal the horrifying extent of the damage. Patients who once trusted medicine as a sanctuary now faced the cruel reality that the very hands meant to heal had inflicted profound and permanent harm. But the consequences extended beyond the immediate suffering. Families were left in despair, often unaware of the true nature of these treatments. Some patients never recovered. Others became permanent shadows of themselves, unable to integrate back into society. According to official records, the CIA spent millions funding these studies, using Canadian institutions as laboratories and American hospitals as testing grounds, leaving a trail of destruction hidden beneath bureaucratic paperwork and classified memos. Files were deliberately destroyed in the 1970s, yet survivors' testimonies, lawsuits, and sporadic government acknowledgments slowly pieced together the horrifying picture. Some believe the truth was buried forever. How many lives were permanently damaged in the pursuit of control? Conspiracy theories suggest that high-ranking officials sought not only interrogation methods but full control over human behavior, turning citizens into programmable tools. Documents hint at experimentation on children, prisoners, and unwitting civilians. Sensory deprivation chambers left subjects hallucinating and screaming for days. Even the most extreme sessions appear to have little oversight, as officials pursued data above all else. Archival evidence paints a chilling picture: patients strapped to beds, electrodes on temples, eyes wide with confusion, while scientists observed, recorded, and occasionally manipulated responses. Audio loops played in the silence, creating a haunting atmosphere that was part psychological assault, part methodical research. Creating a haunting atmosphere that was part psychological assault, part methodical research. The ethical boundaries had vanished. What remained was a stark intersection of curiosity, control, and cruelty, a reflection of the lengths to which power would go in the pursuit of knowledge. Decades after the experiments, survivors began to speak out. Lawsuits filed against the CIA and the Canadian government revealed personal accounts of trauma, memory loss, and psychological collapse. Some families described relatives returning from psychiatric treatment entirely unrecognizable, their personalities stripped away by relentless procedures. According to testimonies, some victims had to relearn basic skills, while others lived in permanent confusion, unable to resume normal lives. Government investigations confirmed some of the abuses, though many documents remained classified or had been destroyed. The limited disclosures fueled public outrage, raising questions about accountability. Some claim that even high-ranking officials, aware of the experiment's devastating consequences, took steps to protect themselves while victims were left to suffer in silence. Records reveal that CIA funding for Cameron's work and other related experiments amounted to millions of dollars, yet the human cost was immeasurable. Psychologists, journalists, and historians have pieced together fragments of what happened, yet the full extent of MKUltra's experiments may never be known. Survivors' testimonies, declassified memos, and occasional court filings offer glimpses, but much remains hidden. The legal battles brought some recognition and compensation, but they could never restore the lost years or the shattered minds of those affected. These stories serve as a stark reminder of the ethical abyss that opens when science is pursued without restraint, leaving human lives as collateral damage. Some of the most unsettling aspects of MKUltra are the unanswered questions. How many subjects were unknowingly tested? How many experiments remain classified or erased from official records? Conspiracy theories abound, suggesting that beyond basic research into interrogation, some projects sought complete behavioral control, perhaps even for political manipulation. Reports hint at experiments on children and prisoners, as well as at civilian populations who were unaware they were being tested. Sensory deprivation, sleep manipulation, and hallucinogens were combined to break down identity and perception. These experiments often blurred the line between therapy and torture, leaving victims unable to discern reality from manipulation. Government oversight was minimal, and ethics were frequently ignored. Even within the CIA, only select officials knew the full scope of operations, while researchers carried out brutal procedures under a veil of secrecy. The legacy raises questions not only about MKUltra itself, but about the potential for abuse in any system where oversight fails. Archives show recordings of experiments, photos of empty hospital beds, and memos outlining chemical dosages. Each piece of evidence reinforces the chilling reality. The pursuit of knowledge, when divorced from morality, can become a weapon against humanity itself. Survivors' fractured memories and the gaps in official records leave a haunting question. What truths were intentionally erased, and what horrors remain unknown? The story of MKUltra and the Montreal experiments is not merely historical, it is a warning. When science operates without conscience, the results can be devastating. Survivors' testimonies, combined with archival photographs and declassified memos, illustrate the human cost: lives disrupted, identities erased, and trust in institutions shattered. Even decades later, the psychological scars remain, highlighting the fragility of the human mind when subjected to extreme manipulation. The experiments influenced later interrogation techniques and psychological research, though often behind closed doors. Documents suggest that some methods were adapted for use in intelligence operations abroad. The ethical lapses, secrecy, and deliberate destruction of evidence ensured that victims' voices remained unheard for decades. Governments eventually issued apologies and compensation, but these gestures could never restore what was lost. In reflecting on this dark chapter, one must confront uncomfortable questions. Who benefited from these experiments? How much knowledge is worth the irreversible suffering of innocent individuals? How many truths remain buried in classified archives or destroyed files? The story of MKUltra is a reminder that the pursuit of control, when unchecked, can become a machinery of cruelty, leaving a legacy of fear and silence that echoes through generations.